On the 12th of March, 1945, a gray morning mist hung low over the quiet British countryside as a group of German women POWs stood outside the gates of a temporary holding camp near Yorkshire. They were nervous, confused, and silently terrified. For months, they had lived with a single belief, drilled into them by propaganda and wartime fear. The British are cruel. You will be chained. You will be paraded. You will be humiliated. Those words had echoed through their minds since the day they were captured. Even now, as they waited for orders, many held on to those fears like cold metal pressed against their skin. But that morning, the unexpected began. A British officer stepped forward, holding not chains, not restraints, not even guards with raised rifles. Instead, he held a clipboard and a calm voice. "Ladies," he said politely, "today you will be taken to the city. You are free to walk, free to see, no restraints needed." The women stared at him, waiting for the cruel twist that must surely follow. Surely, this was a test. Surely, they would be shackled the moment they stepped outside. But the officer simply smiled and gestured toward a row of military trucks waiting for them. Inside the trucks, the women sat stiff and silent. Some whispered prayers. Some clutched the edges of their coats. Others simply stared at their hands, expecting at any moment a rope to be thrown around their wrists. Yet, as the trucks rolled through the countryside, past stone cottages and open fields, something astonishing happened. British civilians waved at them. Children pointed curiously, but without fear. Elderly couples raised their hands in gentle greetings. The German women stared in disbelief. This wasn't the Britain they had been warned about. This wasn't the enemy land of cruelty. This was something else entirely. When they entered the outskirts of Leeds, the women fell silent for a new reason. They were stunned. Towering brick buildings, clean streets, busy markets, and trams rattling past everything was modern, organized, and peaceful. Some of the POWs had grown up in rural Germany. Others came from bombed-out cities, where destruction had become the normal background of life. But here, despite the war, life moved forward with grace and order. It felt unreal. A British sergeant stepped off the truck first and helped the women down one by one. No chains, no shouting, no intimidation. The women looked around, expecting crowds of angry civilians. Instead, they saw shopkeepers opening their stores, workers heading to factories, and school children tugging at their mothers' hands. "Stay close, but you may walk freely," the sergeant said. And with those simple words, the entire world shifted for them. The women wandered the streets hesitantly, almost timidly. Some approached shop windows and gasped at the display's fresh bread, butter, fabric, tea, and canned goods. After years of rationing and shortages back home, it felt like staring into another universe. A few British women passed them by and smiled politely. The POs were so shocked, they didn't know how to respond. Kindness from the enemy felt impossible, absurd, and yet so deeply human that it broke something inside them. Two German nurses in the group held on to each other's arms as they saw a bookstore still operating in full capacity. "It's so normal," one whispered. "How, after everything?" Another POW, a young mother, watched families strolling past and felt tears gather in her eyes. She had expected hatred. She had expected spitting. She had expected insults. Instead, she saw British parents lifting their children, laughing, living life as though war had not completely poisoned the world. A British constable approached the group at one point. The German women froze, convinced he was about to reprimand them or demand they return to the trucks. Instead, he simply tipped his hat politely and said, "Hope you ladies are enjoying the city." Their jaws dropped. They could barely form a reply. As the day continued, their fear slowly dissolved into confusion, then into wonder, then into something even deeper. They realized the truth. The British were not treating them like prisoners. They were treating them like human beings. One woman whispered, "If we had captured them, would we treat them the same?" The silence that followed was heavy. Many knew the truth. Many knew Germany's camps were nothing like this. The thought weighed heavily on their consciences. Near the end of the visit, the group stopped near a small park where cherry blossoms were beginning to open. A British soldier offered them tea from a mobile canteen. The gesture was simple, almost casual, But for the POS, it meant everything. Several accepted the cups with shaking hands, unable to speak through the emotions swelling in their throats. By the time the trucks carried them back to camp, the German Women POWs were forever changed. They had witnessed something their own propaganda never prepared them for. Compassion from enemies, dignity from captors, and freedom true. Unchained freedom on the streets of Britain. That day, the belief they had carried for years shattered completely. The bus rattled softly as it rolled through the outskirts of the city, but inside it, the silence was almost unbearable. 24 German women POWs sat shoulder to shoulder, clutching their small canvas bags as if holding on to the last familiar thing in a world that had turned completely upside down. None of them had slept. None of them knew what awaited them. And every one of them remembered the same thing. The warnings Germany had drilled into their minds. You will be beaten, humiliated, paraded in chains. For months, these words had echoed through their heads. But after their bizarrely gentle first day at the British camp, doubt had started to creep in. Still, today felt different. Today, the guards announced that a group of them would be taken into the nearby British city. And that made no sense. POWs weren't taken into enemy cities. Not unchained, not unguarded, and certainly not with a level of calm professionalism the British officers displayed. Now Helga, one of the youngest women, sat near the window. Her hands trembled as she looked outside. They're taking us to be shown to the public, she whispered, like trophies. Frau Brandt, older and sterner, shook her head. No, something else is happening. Something we were never told. Ahead of them, the bus slowed as it entered the city center. The women braced themselves. They expected jeering crowds, insults, maybe rotten food thrown at them. They expected humiliation. But what greeted them was the opposite. British civilians looked up and simply carried on with their day. A man pushing a bicycle nodded politely at the passing bus. Two mothers walked with prams. A street vendor adjusted apples on a cart. No fear, no anger, no excitement, just ordinary life. For the POWs, this was more shocking than hatred. When the bus finally parked, the British sergeant stood and spoke calmly. You'll be visiting the textile factory today. No chains, no restraints, but stay together. Every woman stared at him, stunned. No chains. Helga exchanged a look of disbelief with the girl beside her. This was impossible, unheard of, dangerous, at least according to everything German propaganda had declared. But the sergeant simply stepped aside and motioned toward the door. One by one, the German POS stepped out, and another shock awaited them. British workers, standing outside the factory, didn't sneer. They didn't spit. They didn't even look away in disgust. They just looked curious, human, almost friendly. A young British woman with rolled-up sleeves gave them a small wave. Morning, she said brightly. None of the Germans responded. Their throats felt closed. Inside the factory, machines hummed loudly. The foreman greeted the British officer and then turned toward the PO. So these are the German girls then. Welcome, welcome. The women were so confused, they barely knew where to stand. They were shown how the looms worked, how fabrics were cut, how uniforms were stitched. The British workers occasionally smiled, nodded, even chatted softly. It was the most normal interaction they had experienced since the war began. At one point, a British seamstress noticed Helga staring nervously at a weaving machine. First time seeing one, she asked gently. Helga swallowed. Yes, she said quietly. The woman smiled. I used to be scared of it too. It's louder than it is dangerous. That tiny act of kindness almost made Helga cry. Not because the words were emotional, but because no one had prepared them for this. No one told them enemies could speak kindly, could treat them as equals, could show basic humanity. For years, they had been told the British were monsters. Now, they were being shown the opposite. After the tour, the women were taken through the marketplace. The British soldiers walked beside them, but not closely, not threateningly. Children stared at them, not in fear, but in curiosity. An old British shopkeeper even stepped outside and said with a smile, "War's almost over. No need for bitterness in the heart." The women were speechless. As they walked by a bakery, The warm smell of fresh bread filled the air. Helga felt her stomach twist. They hadn't tasted real bread in months. A British woman standing in line noticed the POS, eyeing the window. After a moment's hesitation, she broke the small loaf she had just bought and stepped toward the nearest POW. A timid girl named Lot. Lot froze. She didn't know whether to step back or accept it. The British woman simply placed the half-loaf gently into her hands and said, "No one should go hungry." Love, Lot nearly burst into tears. This was the moment the entire group understood. Today was not about humiliation. It was about showing them a world beyond hate, a world Germany had hidden from them. On the walk back to the bus, the German women whispered among themselves, "They treat us better than our officers did. They aren't what we were told. How can an enemy be so normal?" Back at camp, the British captain asked them, "Well, what did you think of the city?" The women didn't know what to say. Not one of them could find the right words. For the first time, they felt something dangerous. Not to the British, but to the ideology they had carried for years. Doubt. If their captors treated them with dignity, if civilians treated them with simple kindness, if no one chained them, mocked them, or paraded them like animals, then maybe everything they had been told was a lie. That night in the barracks, Helga whispered, "Perhaps they don't see us as enemies anymore." "Frau," Brandt replied softly, "No. They see us as people." And in that moment, every woman understood that today had changed something deep inside them. Not the war, not their status, not their situation, but their belief in the enemy and in themselves. For the first time, they had glimpsed humanity on the other side. And that was something no chain, no prison, no propaganda could ever undo.